Hello. I guess I'm starting about a minute early, but most of you are not going to be watching it live anyway, so that doesn't matter. Anyway, we're talking about the chakras and creativity today. And I just want to take you through the chakras and show you kind of the cycle of how creativity works in terms of the chakras. Okay, so some of you might know a lot about chakras, some might know very little. It doesn't matter. But what we're going to do is start with the crown chakra. So I like to imagine the crown chakra as like a satellite antenna, a satellite dish on the top of your head. So it's just kind of that bowl shape, and it's receiving divine inspiration. So the crown chakra is the highest frequency chakra because it's kind of like the interface from between physical, non-physical, right? It's where the inspiration comes in, so it can be downloaded. And it's where the creativity, the creative inspiration begins there. So if we want the creative inspiration to be able to come in, we want to unblock it, right? So there might be something blocking it. And I'm going to give you an idea of what could be blocking it. And what I'm getting for whoever watches this is it's a feeling of separation from your wholeness. Now, your wholeness goes beyond your body, right? It goes beyond the physical. So it's kind of like a divine separation. And that divine separation is the first blockage. It's the feeling of the disconnect from the divine. Well, how are you going to get divine inspiration with this feeling of disconnect? It's kind of impossible. So what we would need to do is clear that. Also, a feeling of just nothing inspiring you, right? If you have a feeling of nothing inspires me, I'm kind of jaded, right? Then any new inspiration that comes in, you're just going to write it off. You're going to just dump out of that inspiration. So the thing is, what we want to do is do whatever healing that we need to do to clear that. And that goes with all the chakras as we go down. So we want to receive a clear message. We want to receive that message in its entirety. We don't want to get in the middle and mess with that message that's coming from the divine to the crown chakra. We want to let it in. It's kind of like if somebody comes up and they're making you a proposal and you're kind of saying, okay, go ahead, tell me the whole thing. I want to hear all of it. And then we can go from there, right? Like, I'm not going to cut you off. I'm not going to ask a bunch of questions in the middle. I want to see the full scope of what you're telling me. And then we can go from there. Okay, so now in terms of creative, let's say, any creative thing. I want to make a movie starring a skunk that has no bad smell, that has the inability to spray, whatever. Okay, I'm making crazy stuff up because I like to. So the first image that I get is this idea of this skunk that can't spray movie. Okay. So what I need to do then is let that whole thing come in. Let the whole package of inspiration come in to my being, right? And that's the crown chakra, right? Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give that vision. I'm going to imagine the movie. I'm going to imagine the way the skunk looks. I'm going to imagine a bunch of things. Excuse me. And so it's like I get the inspiration and then the vision comes in. Okay. So the third eye is imagination, vision. And one thing that could block it is forgetting, like always being forgetful. That's a third eye blockage. And confusion. But the main thing that blocks it is over intellectualizing. And in my humble opinion, working with creative people for 25 years, the one thing that gets in the way of pure creativity a lot of times is overthinking, overanalyzing, losing the spirit of what came through the crown chakra as inspiration, right? So imagine if we let it in through the crown chakra, but now we block it in the third eye by overthinking, by doubting, by going into confusion. I'm looking at some notes that I have here. That's why you see me looking over to the side, because I want to bring in different energies here. So we get this idea. And then in the third eye chakra, what might happen is we start doubting, we start thinking this idea is not very practical, and we start overthinking and overcomplicating the idea. And it could just stop right there. We don't want that to happen. Okay. So we receive the idea, we get a vision for the idea. The next chakra is the throat chakra. And the throat chakra is about communication, but it's also about timing, rhythm. It's also about being in sync. And for example, communicating our idea in a way that's effective. A lot of times I've found that, for example, I might get an idea, I might get all excited, and then I might not spend enough time really working on the vision of the idea. And then I go straight to blurting it all out, and it's not really well put together. And it's really a matter of me expressing all my excitement, but not having really come to a clear vision, and just wanting to just express excitement, just to blab that excitement energy all over the place. So one of the things that I'm just looking for, one of the issues that can get in the way of the expression, and that, here's the first one that I get. It's about holding yourself back from expressing your true self. Okay, so I want you to feel this. So the creative impulse comes in, you get the vision, But then you have an issue of, for example, having shame and trying to express yourself differently. It's like trying to be cool when you feel like you're not at all, right? And so your communication gets twisted. Your throat chakra energy gets twisted. And here's another one. Feeling a kind of lack of purpose, lack of hope. Um, there's a lot of energy in the throat chakra around when we were a kid and we had trouble articulating, or we got shut down as we were finding our way through articulating what excited us. So, creativity is the energy of the divine downloading into your body. So it is going through different stages. So it's kind of like the idea of, you have the electrical power plant, right? Now, you don't just plug your toaster right into the power plant with all the juice that it's producing, right? The power has to go out and it has to be stepped down. Now, don't ask me exactly how that happens. I'm not an electrician, right? But there's substations and whatnot until you get to like the fuse box or whatever on your house, the power, the panel, whatever it is, where all the electricity is comes into your house, right? And then it goes out to the different plugs, right? So let's say you got the power plant and the energy's coming in here, and the highest frequency energy is the crown chakra. And the highest frequency means also the less physical. So as your creative impulse comes in, it becomes more and more physicalized as you go down through the chakras until you get to the very first chakra, which is the physicality, right? So having the inspiration is slightly less physical than having the vision. Articulating the vision is a little more physical than just having the vision, right? And so anything that gets in the way of us, and one of the main throat chakra issues is grief, unresolved grief, that throws things off. When you were a little kid, maybe even yesterday, who knows, when you're going to cry or when you're holding back tears, that thing when the chin starts quivering, there's that quivering thing in the throat chakra that happens. And when that happens, that is showing you that there's not just a smooth release of the guilt, that it's actually hitting blockages. Okay. And so what we want to do is we want to clear those blockages. And one of the main things that we want to clear is all of the unexpressed emotions, all of the things that we were not allowed to say are actually blocking our manifestation, because we literally have embodied the blockage in the chakra. And we've embodied the taboo about talking about a certain thing or talking about it in a certain way. So when we have some creative idea that maybe in the beginning feels a little crazy. If it's never been done, it probably feels a little crazy. But then, you get the vision for it, you articulate it, and then we come to the heart chakra. So what does the heart chakra have to do with it? Well, we have to fall in love with this inspiration that we've received. We have to kind of nurture it and love our own creativity to get the best results. And the heart chakra, don't just think of your physical heart, it's in the center of your body, but it also radiates out through the shoulders and all the way to the hands, the palms. So if you think of the idea, even like Jesus on the cross, right? The hands are out there with nails in them. But, right, we have heart, hands, right? And so this whole thing, and the hands are kind of like how we give this thing that we have created, fallen in love with, how we offer it to the world energetically. And so what are the things that can block the heart chakra in terms of our creativity? I'm going to get you one or two. So one thing is being deeply hurt by rejection. The one thing that we don't want when we are creating is for our creativity to be completely rejected, right? But the thing is, you have to think of it this way. Do you really love what you're creating? And if you do you then stand by your creation as you share it with the world? So if you really love what you're creating, it's like if you love your kid and it's a little baby and it might look a little weird, a lot of babies do you still love the kid? Or are you afraid everybody's going to judge that your kid looks weird, right? I would say most parents just love their kid, think their kid's beautiful, stand behind their kid, and realize that, babies are funny looking sometimes, whatever. It's like you stand behind your creation with love. If you are in the position where your creative energy is always subject to a huge fear of rejection, then what's going to happen is that your creativity is going to be altered by the fear that it might get rejected. So then what are you going to do? You're going to dumb down your creativity, your creative impulse, your creative inspiration. You're going to dumb it down to not get rejected. And so we don't want to do that. So one thing that we need to clear in terms of creativity from the heart chakra area is that we need to clear the fear of our creative output being rejected. It's kind of like, you need to write the rough draft and you need to be crazy and realizing you can always edit later. But you don't want to sit there editing yourself in this phase, in this beginning phase of the creativity, because you'll nitpick it to death and you won't get the full thing out there energetically. You want to do that before then you start altering it, right? So the idea is there's this perfect divine inspiration coming through. I know I keep going through the chakras again, but I want to bring it to life more and more. And ideally, what would happen is that we'd get the inspiration, we'd get the vision, we'd articulate the vision, we'd fall in love with the vision. And then we go down to the solar plexus chakra, the fire chakra, and that's where we energize the vision. So this is where it's getting more physicalized. Maybe we have to do the work, right? Maybe there's a lot of effort that needs to happen. It's one thing to have the vision of the Sistine Chapel and painting the ceiling. It's another thing to get up there and paint for however many years that took. So the fire, the passion needs to go into it. The effort, the work, not my strong suit. So what can get in the way of that? One thing is constantly thinking about what you're going to get out of it. If you're painting a painting and you're saying, is this going to make me $1 million? That is distorting your creativity. Now, if you paint a painting and then later you say, I think I'm going to make $1 million off this painting, that's not distorting your creativity. What I'm saying is when it's in the process of the creativity, then there's a distortion. Another thing, frustration. A lot of times when we get to this third chakra, this fire chakra area, what happens is that rather than just putting the energy in and having the output come out, we get frustrated. And we get frustrated usually because we're not in the right timing with what we're doing. Like my previous example, thinking about how much money we're going to make off of it, thinking of our rewards actually gets in the way. Now, thinking of our rewards not happening and being frustrated by that even gets in the way more. Now, we drop down from the third chakra to the second chakra. That's the pelvic chakra. And the pelvic chakra is where we give birth to our creative project, where we unleash it on the world. And so pelvic chakra is the chakra of giving birth for women, right? That's where the baby comes out in the end, right? And so what can block that? One thing is being disconnected from your feelings, being disconnected from your emotions. So, for example, you put the energy in, and now at the moment of kind of giving birth to your project, you kind of disconnect, right? You kind of go numb, maybe because you fear rejection or something like that. And at that moment of birthing this new energy into the world, you might contract out of some kind of fear. You might I just want you to feel the feeling of the vulnerability, for example, the vulnerability of a woman giving birth, right? That's the most vulnerable position she can be in. You know, she can't fight, she can't do anything except allow the baby to come through and push every now and then. That's about it, right? Now, I'm going to read off a few things energetically that might not be part of your actual creative process, but these are second chakra blockage kind of issues. So, for example, not having good boundaries in the area of sexuality. Living in a fantasy world that's not connected to reality. Being frozen. Avoiding affection, maybe having sex without affection, just sex for sex. Not that that can't happen, but I'm saying when there's an emotional blockage. The thing is, there's a moment when people have done all the work, they have even produced the thing, but then there's that moment where they can't give it to the world because of a fear of vulnerability, exposure, rejection. And so they hide their gifts from the world. They hold them in. And you know, you just had a new baby. Do you show it off to the world, or do you hide at home, right? You get to do what you want, but the idea is that we want the creativity to come through us out into the world. Okay. And then we go to the first chakra, the Earth Chakra. And that chakra is, now that we've let the creativity out, we have to let go of it. It's kind of like, you know, people who are very attached to the greatest thing that they've ever done. I mean, what must it be like to have had to be a one-hit wonder, right? And you have this one song that's really huge. Nobody wants to hear any of your other songs, right? And so, you know, like I mean, this doesn't fit that example, you know, but I saw whatever, it was some reality show that Boy George was on, and it was all chaos and whatever. He wasn't really doing a great job. I don't know. It might have been The Apprentice. I don't know what the hell it was. You guys probably know. But then he came on, and as part of his, I don't know, it was like a charity thing. And so then he gets up and sings Karma Chameleon, right? Which is kind of a guaranteed showstopper, whatever, you know? And so, and you know, I mean, what are you going to do? Your Boy George, everybody wants to hear that song. You got to do it, you know? But it's kind of that thing of, and obviously he has a lot more going for him. He's not a one-hit wonder guy, whatever. But what I'm saying is, sometimes we don't let go of our creation. Like, I like to make people laugh. And anybody that likes to make people laugh, you might have this situation where you get them laughing, and then you kind of, you know, you kind of overdo the thing that made them laugh, and now it's not funny anymore. You know, you keep belaboring the point, right? And you don't stay fresh. Now, energetically, what happens is, just think of it this way. You have a tube. And if you block the bottom of the tube, eventually you can't put new stuff at the top of the tube, right? It all gets filled up. And if you try to put more in, you can't. So if you don't release your creativity and just let it go, like you've already given birth, okay, now the kid's in the world. It's kind of like, I had the kid, now it's 18 years later, the kid's an adult and they're going to college or they got a job, they're moving out, whatever, and I got to let them go. And if I keep grabbing the kid, hey, listen to me, I'm not doing anybody any favors, right? When you don't let this go, then what happens is you're blocking the next inspiration from coming in. And so why would you do that? The number one thing of the root chakra, which is like the base of the spine, perineum area, is pure survival fear. When it comes to creative people, and like I say, I've worked with a lot of creative people, mainly creative people in the last 25 years. And what I find is that there's a thing that happens where the creative person is fearful, like, what if it doesn't happen this time? And that's what can make you hold on to last time, right? So you hold on to what worked before. And since you didn't let it all go, now you're kind of clogging everything up with the imprint of the previous creation. I hope this makes sense. But I don't have questions, so I'm going to go on. Being rigid, being overly materialistic, and basically refusing to let go. So let me go through the whole thing again quickly, okay? The natural way that creativity works through the chakras is that, number one, creativity comes from whatever, divine, higher self, whatever you want to call it. We don't know, the muse, whatever. And it's received by the crown chakra. As it comes in, we give it a vision, third eye chakra. We articulate the vision, throat chakra. We fall in love with this vision, this inspiration, and then we give it energy. Then, when it's complete, we give birth to it, and then we let it go. Now, the issue is that when we get blocked in any of these areas, we twist and distort the thing, the idea, the project, whatever that we're creating, the song, whatever it is. So we can twist it for different reasons, and it's usually some trauma thing that we're reacting to, that we don't, that we have some unresolved issue, right? And I've gone through some of those. The thing is to remember always, as a creator, is that you, the ego being that you are identified as, you didn't do it. You didn't create it. You don't create the inspiration. Okay? Inspiration comes, and we could debate forever where it comes from, or is it your subconscious? Is it God? Is it an angel? Whatever. Okay? Pick what you think it is. I'll go with that. But once it comes through, all I want you to realize is that you didn't do it. You didn't make inspiration happen. You can't make inspiration happen. But inspiration will happen. Okay? It's like you have the satellite dish. Just trust. Radio waves will come in and hit the satellite dish. Now, what you do with them, that's up to you, right? And so the inspiration will come. And one thing is the inspiration a lot of times won't make sense. The inspiration will seem like the one thing you absolutely do not want to do. It'll be counterintuitive in the extreme a lot of times. So it's just a matter of letting it in. You don't have to do it, right? You can get a creative idea. In fact, you do all day long, every day, and not do anything with it. It's fine. But when it does come in and it's something that really lights you up, we want to have a clear channel for letting it come out. Because what will happen otherwise is either we will tarnish our creation to the point that it's not good anymore. Then we will use that to reflect on ourselves to have a lower self-image. That's a really common thing to do, right? Or we will cater to what we imagine people want and change it. And the thing is that this thing where we want to conform to what we think others expect or don't want actually kills the opportunity for the genius to come out and for other people to see something new that blows their mind, right? And the thing is, you never know if it's going to blow their mind or they're not going to like it. And actually, you have to kind of get out of the way of that. And it's really hard to do. Okay. And so then, so you have to know, or you have to trust, or just believe because I told you so right now. I don't care how you do it. That inspiration is always there. And you don't create it. You only catch it in your net and then you process it through the system, right? And as it processes through the system, it is shaped by the uniqueness of who you are as an individual, as a soul, as a human, as an incarnational personality. And as it comes through you, your mark is on that thing. So let's say the divine inspiration is available to everybody. And you can see that in terms of like a lot of inventions, for example. Like when the Wright brothers invented the airplane, there were a lot of people around the world inventing airplanes simultaneously, and certain people claiming that they flew first and whatever. But it's kind of like the inspiration was out there. And the Wright brothers grabbed it and they did their thing, and other people did the same thing. And you know, the Wright brothers either were first or they won the marketing war or whatever. The thing is, the inspiration is always there. The second thing is you are unique. And if you don't love yourself, and if you don't respect yourself, and if you don't stand for yourself, you might mix up your issues of shame, guilt, not good enough, whatever, into your creations. So either you put out the lame creation where you've held back a lot, or you go overboard to prove how awesome your creation is, and that's not exactly right. So what we want to do is we want to get to a point where we know that the inspiration is always there. We welcome it graciously, and we're excited to have it come through our creative process and out into the world as our gift, knowing that it's all oneness, it's all one energy. We put our stamp on it, and that's a beautiful thing, and that's our gift to the world. So all we really have to do in terms of these chakra issues, the work is, and where I come in, is to go through and open the channel by clearing what's in the way, clearing the blockages. And the chakras are just a good model for how we do that, that we clear the things that are obscuring our creativity, our creative output. And as we clear them, we become more and more of a clear channel for the divine inspiration that wants to come through us out into the world. So thanks so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will keep coming back and checking on this, and just get out there and create any stupid little thing. And I'm not calling it stupid, but I'm just saying, don't make it a big deal. You know, take one thing and bring it through this process. I mean, like doodling on a napkin, whatever, right? One little short thing that you can do in 10 minutes and bring it through the process. You can even get the inspiration, get the vision, you know, doodle on the napkin, love it, throw it in the garbage. Right? That would take you through the whole process. Okay. So anyway, thank you very much. And I will see you later. For more information, go to andysway.com. Bye-bye.